On this episode of the Carolina Sports Guy, we're looking at this 80-man roster that we've got to cut down to 53 at the end of the week after this preseason game Friday night with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Today we're going to look at the defense. We've got 37 guys right now because we had 39 on offense, 4 on the specialists, the 2 long snappers, punter, and a kicker. So we got 37 guys. We're probably going to get down to 25 on that defensive side. So what 12 are going to go, folks? Before we get into today's content, make sure you subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, folks. It's free of charge. Help a brother out. Pound that like button. Hit that bell notification to be notified of future content like today's episode on the Panthers. And folks, by all means, leave me some comments. I love the dialogue. All right, folks, we're going to dive right in. And I want to go ahead and start. Going to cover whether I put this one out first or this one's the second one. I already have done a video on the offense, looking at down to 53. So we're going to look at defense. And you can kind of look on a 53-man roster. You're going to keep a punter, you can keep a kicker, and you can keep a long snapper. And that kind of eliminates where you've got 25 on offense and 25 on defense. And some teams will keep 26 of one and 24 on the other, depending on how, talented they are, the value and need, what they have. But normally it's kind of a 25-25 split. And we look at a long snapper being defensive and a punter because you're kind of kicking the ball away. But a long snapper's placing the ball too on field goals and stuff like that. That kicker's the offensive guy who's out there, this specialist. All right, so I'm going to look at this defensive line. Now, we've only got 11 right now on our roster after we just eliminated a guy this week here. So, of these 11, I've seen us keep 11 before, but I don't think that's going to be the situation. I've seen us keep 10. I'm highly doubtful of that. Now, I say 8. I think we'll probably keep 9. We'll probably keep 9 guys on that defensive line. And I don't have a question with the top 8. Derek Brown is going to be on that line. And we're going to match him with Daquan Jones in the center. Brian Burns is going to be your starter on the defensive end on one outside. And I think you can say Morgan Fox will be the other. Now, your Tour Gross Matos is definitely going to be a key backup. He's going to probably come in and spell either Burns or Fox. And we're probably going to be looking at Davion Nixon being in the middle. And I think Bravion Roy has played well enough to stay on this team. Marquis Haynes. Now, think about Marquis Haynes. It can give us a little flexibility here. If he misses the first week or two and we have him on a short-term IR, and I don't know if they can do that or if they can leave him on the roster, but Haynes will be a main contributor to probably come in and spell Burns or Fox. And he's definitely a very valuable piece. Although right now, like I said, he's probably going to miss the first week of the season, maybe the first 2 because of injury. But he's going to be on this roster. Now, I think it's kind of easy to eliminate Heron. And I'm not talking about the drug. I'm talking about Frank Heron, the defensive tackle. I think he's definitely going to be gone. I don't think he's going to be on the practice squad. I think we're going to end up losing him. So you're down to 2 guys. The 7th round pick, Phil Hoskins, that we picked up out of Kentucky, or from a few years ago, Christian Miller. He didn't play last year, so it's really his second year. And remember, he didn't play for Rule either. This was a Ron Rivera, Marty Herney pick, Christian Miller out of Alabama, who looked pretty good as a rookie. And the thing I liked about Christian Miller is he can play some outside linebacker. I'd like to think that Christian Miller can get a nod here because we could put him on the outside as a stand-up linebacker. And we can bring him in as this 5th guy as a defensive end, the 3rd-string defensive end. But Phil Hoskins at times has looked pretty good in the middle and gives us something. So right now it's a battle. I'd have to say from what I've seen, Phil Hoskins wins this and is the guy that gets it. If that's the case, we're going to cut Christian Miller. I think somebody like the Washington football team, being Rivera's there, will pick him up. Could be wrong. I'd like to keep Christian Miller, try him out, although I haven't seen him do anything in preseason. And we'll take Phil Hoskins and try to slide him to the practice squad. Although as good as he's played, somebody could scoop him up. But that's what we're looking at right there. So right now, I'm going to say Christian Miller over Hoskins because Hoskins is on the practice squad. That's wishful thinking. It's probably going to be the other way around, folks. It's probably going to be Hoskins with Christian Miller being out of here. All right, our linebackers. Linebacker is going to be interesting. I definitely think we can look at Jermaine Carter being a starter in the middle. We're going to look at Shaq Thompson being on one side. I'd like to think Denzel Perryman being on the other, but with this injuries and not playing, I know he'll make the roster, but my God, I wouldn't even be surprised if he didn't because he hasn't done anything. But I think we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe we don't want these nagging injuries, and he has had some injury-prone years. But we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Frankie Louvu has played like a monster. He can come in and start some. I think he's guy number 4 on this roster here. These 10 linebackers, I think we'll keep 7. So if Louvu's number 4, hey, we got Hassan Reddick is definitely going to be one. There's no doubt about that. The way he looked good the other night, so he's guy number 5. Now, the thing about it, Josh Bynes, the guy we picked up from the Bengals, haven't seen enough from picking him up from the Bengals. Is he good enough? I have him in our top 7 that we're going to keep, and I think we'll keep Julian Stanford because I think he's looked athletic and played well. The guys, I don't think Celestine is a linebacker. I don't think he's going to make it, and I don't think Patty Fisher is going to make it, although I think if he gets cut, nobody picks him up, we'll place him on a practice squad. But it's Clay Johnston. Clay Johnston is a rule guy from Baylor, and he's not as athletic as Julian Stanford, but is he a guy that we can have over Bynes? Because I don't know that yet, folks. I haven't seen enough in Bynes. Johnston very well can make the roster. I've got him not, and then being on the practice squad. But I could be fooled, and we could cut a guy like Bynes and keep Johnston on the roster. That's probably the way we're going to go. But I definitely think Fisher's a practice squad guy, and Celestine is out the door. So I think it's between Bynes and Johnston for this last guy on the roster. If it's Bynes, we put Johnston on the practice squad if we get him there. If it's Johnston, I just think we wait bye-bye to Bynes. Now our corners. But Darius Wiley's out the door. Defensive back and playing all, I think he's gone. I think Jalen Julius is another corner that's gone. I definitely think J.C. Horn, without a doubt, our first-round pick will be there. I think we can look at Dante Jackson without a doubt. I'd like to extend the guy on the contract. I think he's there. A.J. Bowie is going to be our third corner. And I'd like to think Keith Taylor, number 4. I think we'll keep one more. And right now, I see it being Thomas Stanley Oliver. Now, a lot of people up in arms right now thinking, man, Rashad Melvin. You're right, Melvin should be in this mix. And I think what it's going to allow us to do with A.J. Bowie is going to miss the first 2 weeks because of that PED suspension. We can put him on that suspended list and probably get a guy like Rashawn Melvin on this roster for these 2 weeks. Now, if one of these other corners gets hurt or fails to live up to it, I'm looking at you, Thomas Stanley Oliver, it could be a situation where we can end up, keeping Melvin over him. I just like the upside of Stanley Thomas Oliver. And that's why I think Melvin will be here. And I don't know if he can be practice squad eligible. I've got him on that, but I don't know if he can be. If he is, great. But I think he'll be on the roster. But after these 2 weeks, can we cut him and then bring him on the practice squad, or will another team re-sign him? It's going to be interesting once Bowie comes off that 2-game suspension. And our safeties, we've got 8. I think we'll keep 4. I'd love to keep 5. But I think you're definitely looking at Jeremy Chin starting. And Justin Burr, somehow, some way, he's probably going to start. Now, the 2 guys that love Kenny Robinson, I think the guy has done enough to prove he belongs. Asked me 3 weeks ago, I wouldn't have had him on here. I think he does. Sam Franklin the other night against Baltimore was all over the field hitting guys. We've got to keep Sam Franklin. I love his game. So then that leaves Middleton being cut. That leaves Cole being cut. But what it comes down to then is 2 guys, Chandler and Hartsfield. Now, I think if we keep a 5th safety, Chandler's favored by the coaching staff. It's going to be interesting. Hartsfield, I think, is the odd man out. Now, the thing is with Hartsfield, because of how young he is, if he's cut and nobody picks him up, I think we'll put Miles Hartsfield on the practice squad. And as long as nobody poaches him, like I said, if a guy gets hurt in the secondary, no problem bringing this guy up and putting him on a 53-man roster. The thing is, Chandler, does he have any eligibility on the practice squad? Can we do him? Because I don't know if we'll have a 5th guy. And I'd really rather see Hartsfield or Chandler than Burris, but that's just my impression. And Joseph Charlton, I have no doubt he's our punter. That's set in stone. And like talked about the long snappers before, folks, J.J. Jensen, I think, is going to get the job, and we're going to cut Thomas Fletcher. And Fletcher's probably going to go to the practice squad if nobody picks him up. But what a wasted pick if he doesn't make the 53-man roster, because there was a lot of guys, especially offensive linemen, on the board that we could have definitely used. So what do you folks think of today's video? Is there anybody on this 80-man roster you think deserves a shot at the 53 I didn't mention? Is there anybody I included that you think doesn't need to be, or on the practice squad that either needs to be or doesn't? Leave me some comments. I love the dialogue. Pound that like button. Hit that bell notification to be notified of future videos like these on the Panthers. And by all means, folks, subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. I will see you on another edition. Carolina Sports Guy.